When I'm traveling to a place that I've never been to before in the US, and I think about what I would really love to do when I have some downtime, the first thing that comes to mind is antique mall. Is there an antique mall around that I could spend an afternoon at, just looking around, looking for treasure? So that's where I am today. I'm at an antique mall in Indiana. I've never been to this one before. The thrill of going into a space where you don't know what's inside and then looking for stuff that you might fall in love with, that you can take back home with you, that is unparalleled in my life. In my apartment, I have slowly curated everything I use to be something that I love. And many of the tools, the dishes, even the pieces of furniture in my apartment, they're old. And I've acquired them from going out and looking for stuff in places like this. Finding old things that you can use in your everyday life, they bring such joy to your life because the things have a different kind of meaning than something you would buy that is mass manufactured and is brand new from a box store. So, vintage linens. When you see something like this is where stuff can be hiding, like really nice stuff. I use actual linen napkins in my apartment. People come over for a dinner party. I don't give them paper napkins. I actually have linen napkins. They get washed and ironed, and that's what comes out when people come to have a meal at my place. They're cheap. They're cheap because you find them in places like this. And when the linen napkins in my apartment start to get really grungy and they're totally stained beyond fixing them or bringing them back to life, then I just get rid of them and I find more. So you have to really look sometimes. Like sometimes you actually have to think through. And I like finding napkins that are actual linen, white linen. So, or towels. Like, look at this. Here we go. Here is a beautiful linen, an old linen towel with some ladder work on the bottom. Right? And it has some damask weaving here. And then, so this is the next thing I do. How much is it? $5. Very nice. It actually says on the label, table linen, $5. Very nice. It is very nice. I agree. I don't agree with that sentiment. Okay? So this is the sort of thing that I would find, and then I would take home, and I would wash and iron, and then I would actually use it. Let's keep looking. This is what makes this fun, is that this isn't an overly curated booth where everything's laid out and everything's really expensive. What's fun about this is that you actually have to go on a bit of a hunt. You have to actually look through this pile of stuff to maybe find something that is really worth buying and taking back home. So often, when I find stuff like this, like linen napkins, I can tell by looking at them that they were unused. These ones have been used, but very often I find linens that have never been used. And what I think is so sad is that they haven't been used, usually because they were too nice to use. The person that bought them had them and only thought of using them on special occasions and then never ended up using them. And then that person probably just died. So the moral of the story is, you buy something like this, use it. Use it every day. Let it get stained. Let it get soiled. Enjoy your stuff. Tools. Why go to a big box hardware store and buy a hammer with a plastic handle? It's ugly. It's mass-produced ugliness. When you can find, look at this, like a beautiful hammer with a wooden handle. I love buying old tools that I put into my toolbox, and then every time I take them out and I use them, they're a joy to hold in your hand. Look at this tiny little thing. I don't know what it is. Chisel, something. I don't know. But wooden handle, brass ferrule, like, feels nice. Nice and smooth. Old. $2. A vintage screwdriver. Okay, I have to get this. Look at that. This is $2. And it's a screwdriver. Like, isn't that beautiful? Okay, I'm getting this. I love wooden spoons. I love wooden utensils. And sometimes you find something that's just beautifully made. Like, look at this wooden spoon, handmade. This little detail here. Even just hanging this on the wall in the kitchen would look great. Look at this pea bank. So this looks really old. I don't know how old it is, but it's a red ware, an actual clay piggy bank in the shape of a pig with its little slot. And the thing about a piggy bank like this is, yes, you could get the coins out of it if you really tried, but traditionally, I think they would be broken. You'd fill it up and then you'd break it. So the fact that this is intact is kind of special. I've never seen one like this. This is really beautiful, and it's also a word I don't usually use, but I have to in this case. It's really cute. Just a closer walk with thee. Grant that Jesus is my plea. Old 19th century flat iron like this. It's heavy. It's solid iron. Do you know how these were used? You had 2 or 3. You didn't just have one. And you would put the irons on a wood-burning stove, which is also made of iron. The whole thing would heat up. It would get very hot. You'd pick it up with some kind of cloth or leather holder to hold the handle so you didn't burn your hand. And then you would iron. And when this cooled down, you'd take it back to the stove and you'd pick up the other one, which was hot. So while you're ironing with the hot one, the one that cooled down is getting hot again. And you would rotate. So a household using an iron like this would never just have one iron. They'd have multiple irons that would be heating up on the stove at the same time. Look at the shape of this. This is, I told you about my ironing fetish. It started with this. I think this is a thing of beauty, the shape of this tool. Ever since I was a little kid, this shape always caught my eye. And I think it started with the Beatrix Potter book, Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, and she's ironing with multiple irons. I just love these things. We all have stuff in our lives that we use on a daily basis, but ask yourself if you actually love every one of those things. These utilitarian objects that are often ubiquitous, when you pick them up and you use them, are you in love with them? Do you think that they're beautiful? If the answer is no, then I suggest finding versions of those things that you actually do love. How beautiful this is. So here's the thing. Hey, no, when I came in here, that I wanted a tin that said pulverized cream of tartar, 6 pounds. However, you see it, and then you realize there's a space in your kitchen that would look really nice if this was there. And then it just has to get on the plane with you to come back to New York. It's painted tin. Yes, it's a stencil, but still paint. Look at this thing. I love painted tinware. That's really nice. Ironstone. Look at this. This is Ironstone, and even though I am not going to buy this because I have no need for a big jug, it's always just a joy to see the Ironstone seal on the bottom. This is what I collect. It's in beautiful condition, and as I said, even though I'm not going to buy this and take this home, just finding a piece of ironstone, it leaves me with I found some ironstone, and that's the fun. It's like it's part of the thrill of the hunt, is actually finding the prey and picking it up, holding, looking at it. So this is a jug that would have been part of a Jug and Basin Set. There would have been a bowl under this, and this would be put on a wash stand. So you'd have water in here, and you would have your bowl, and in your bedroom, if you were staying at a hotel in the 19th century, this is how you would wash in the room of your hotel. You would pour the water into the bowl, and you'd wash your face, wash your hands, and the chambermaid would come and empty that later on. Ironstone china is a kind of clay, it's a clay body that was made into utilitarian wares in England in the 19th century, and it was made for export. So they would send ironstone to the colonies, they sent it to the United States, it traveled very well, it's very durable, it doesn't chip and crack as easily as finer china bodies. So it was a big export item. And later, in the late 19th century, early 20th century, they actually started marking the ironstone. First it had the company's name, and then later it started to actually say England. So here's a later ironstone mark. How do I know about ironstone? I've been collecting it for many years. I've been picking it up, looking at it, reading about it in collectors' books. As I said, you learn by doing. So if you start collecting something, you just learn from experience of picking it up and looking at it. And then if you start loving what you're collecting, you do your research. You find books about that thing. You read about it. You learn more. You talk to other people that collect the same thing. So, yeah, I know I can spot ironstone by the color. I've been looking at it for so long, and I've been using it for so long, that I can scan a booth and I can see, even though it just looks, to some people, this might just look like it's white. There's a tint, there's a gray sort of bluey tint to this that is uniquely ironstone. So when I'm scanning, I can see like, oh, that's ironstone. And then I go over and I pick it up, and if there's a mark on the bottom, that's what excites me. Sometimes it's just like a 20th century piece of china that looks like ironstone and it's not ironstone. But this is a nice, really nice picture. Ironstone. I just know I can spot it from a mile away. This is a really old ironstone mark. It's an ironstone bowl, and with an old mark, barely visible in blue, and I'm looking at it. No chips along the edge, which is usually the place where it chips. The first place it chips is usually the edge, so no chips, that's good. But now I'm looking on the inside, and it's very pitted. It's had a lot of use. So this is a no. So you see why I said this is work. This feels like actual work to me. And at the end of the day, when I leave a place like this after 3 hours of focusing and looking, I feel wiped in a good way. But it's not just browsing around like, just like looking to see if something catches my eye. It's really looking. And it's exhausting in a good way, in a thrilling way. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, that was my idea of a fantastic afternoon here in Indiana. If you like this video, give
give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe for more videos just like this one.